Does your company have a code of conduct? So most companies have a code of conduct. They may call it something different, but it's probably not detailed enough. So let's talk about the Institute for Supply Management's standards for supply management. And this is a 10-point standard that can be used as a guideline to create for your company. So first we need to define impropriety. So we need to prevent the intent and appearance of unethical or compromising conduct in relationships, actions, and communications. So we need to make sure that we don't give the appearance of any of this. Is it, we're sending emails? Are we making phone calls? What is considered improper? What is not considered improper? Your company can define this. And where does that improper stop? Some might say the activities you do outside of the workplace could have an impact on your employment. Maybe your social media is not entirely proper when you look at it from a business perspective. So maybe you need to do some stuff or keep going how you're going based on an impropriety. All right, so conflicts of interest. Now we've talked about conflict of interest. So we need to make sure that our activities don't conflict with the interests of our employer. So like the example I used in a previous video, if I own a company and I'm in the purchasing department and you're looking for materials that my company could provide, your company should define how you are to consider my company, if you consider my company at all. Even though I am an employee and maybe I don't have any control over how my company puts in bids for business. I might just be a shareholder or a silent partner, but yet I still have influence because of that conflict. There might be a conflict of interest. But let's look at influence. So this influence may come from management. For example, you hear that your boss plays golf with the supplier of company ABC. Well, and you're looking to get promoted. You may think that you can influence your boss by choosing that supplier since they play golf, or they're in the same clubs outside. Maybe they're in Toastmasters. Whatever the case may be, it could be that you feel influenced to choose somebody because of your boss's relationships. Or it could be your boss says, choose this company. And they may not have the best of intentions when they say choose this company. They may have a conflict of interest and may benefit from that. So you want to try to avoid this. And if you are influenced, you should learn how to report this. As with any of these, you should learn how to report these maybe violations of the standards that your company has or your policy. And you have a responsibility to your employer. Now, if you're spending your employer's money, you have a fiduciary responsibility to use that authority correctly. Don't, if you're directed to buy iron, well, don't go ahead and start buying copper in addition to that iron. That you're buying things that your company doesn't need. If you have a company credit card, well, you don't want to use that credit card and go out on the town and go clubbing, or go down and buy your wife, girlfriend, significant other, whoever it may be, flowers on the company's expense. Well, that would be wrong and likely lead to termination of your employment. So you want to deliver the value to your employer and not use it incorrectly. So don't be improper with it. And we need to promote positive supplier and customer relationships. And we want to have that friendly relationship where we all work together for mutual benefit. But we also need to realize when the relationship's not worth saving. So while we try to keep it positive, there is a point where we just have to part ways and that be the end of it. So we have also sustainability and social responsibility in these standards. So your company can choose to be a champion of social responsibility and sustainability. Your company may champion this, but in your department, purchasing department, you guys can do it on your own too. Just make sure it's in line with your company's strategic goals. And in purchasing, you're going to work with confidential and proprietary information. So we need to protect this information from getting out into the hands of people who should not have it, because that could hurt our company. And if it hurts our company, that may result in possible termination of some of the workforce because of lost business. That could lead to other things. So try to protect this type of information in accordance with your company's policies. And reciprocity. We want to make sure that we're not doing the agreements of, oh, I'll do this, but you got to do that. Don't do these agreements. Keep it professional. Try to avoid these improper agreements. Like they may say, well, we'll give you a car if you give us this $1 million contract. Well, that could be considered a bribe. So don't do it. Which rolls right into the laws, regulations, and trade agreements. So right now, the United States does not trade with certain countries because of certain regulations put in force by the President, Congress, Secretary of State. All the other people who can do these may have put some trade restrictions out there. We need to understand these laws, regulations, and trade agreements so that we can comply. And also, we might be able to benefit from some of them. So make sure you understand what's going on out there. Maintain that environmental scanning where you are actively seeking that information, because that could mean savings, and it could also mean keeping your company out of trouble. And then finally, our professional competence. We need to maintain our skills. We need to develop new skills, expand our knowledge. And we need to constantly use these skills to do our job properly, because that's going to promote the supply management profession. And regardless if the supply management is your profession or supply chain is your profession, this professional competence applies to any field, whether you're in marketing, management information systems, accounting, any of them. It doesn't matter. So maintain professional competence. Stay current on the current knowledge that's out there. This might mean joining a trade association. For example, the Institute for Supply Management, it does have a membership program, so you can stay current on what's going on. But they're not the only one out there. So there's a Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals. There's also the APICS, the Association for Supply Chain Management. There's all sorts of associations out there. And that's just the supply chain management ones that off the top of my head. So there's several out there, regardless of your field. You can find a professional association. So go ahead and try to find it and join, because that information that you gain from there is going to keep you on the cutting edge of information in your field. So that is our tool here. We're learning about the standards for supply management and how our company keeps us from going off in the wrong direction. Our company should have some of these policies. If they don't, ask them about them. Maybe they just haven't thought of creating one. And if they haven't created one, maybe you can assist in creating one. But we've talked about them, and talk to your company. They'll let you know. So let's go ahead and move on to environmental certifications.